Can you imagine giving birth in the car? I almost did. Here is my second birth story. The first thing you should know about me is that apparently my body likes to rocket out babies. My first birth was exactly 3 hours. If you want to see that, I actually have a birth vlog and you can check that out in the description below. Here's the story of my second birth. My second birth was 3 hours and 30 minutes. Around 8:30, I was putting our oldest son to bed and I had my first mild cramp. Kind of just felt like a period cramp, but I texted my mom and Renee, my midwife. Renee told me to go relax. I decided to get in the shower. And 20 minutes later, I went from mild cramps to patterned contractions that were only 5 minutes apart. At 9:45, I called Renee, my midwife, and told her, these are getting pretty close together. Should I get ready to come in? She told me to call my mom and get her ready to come over to stay with our older son while we got ready to leave for the birth center. 45 minutes later, shit hit the fan. Before we move on in the story, don't forget to subscribe and like this video. All right, let's keep going. Around 10:30, I was moaning and heavy into contractions. Mike called Renee and said, I think it's go time, and called my mom and said, hurry up and get over here. At 11:50 p.m., my mom came strolling through the front door, ready to chit chat and see how I was doing, but I was ready to go. So we ran out the door the second she walked in, but walking to the car was a whole different adventure. I had to stop every 30 seconds because I was having contractions back to back to back. I would take a step and then have a contraction. Take a step and have a contraction. I was trying already not to push.
You ready for this, Andie?
Do I have a choice?
Brakes on the way.
Let's do this.
Thankfully, the birth center was right down the street, so we got there within a couple of minutes, and Renee, my midwife, got there right ahead of us. She ran ahead into the birth center to get the tub ready while I waddled my ass through the parking lot. And you know what? It was just as hard as getting to the car in the first place. Couple of steps, contraction. Couple of steps, contraction. Meanwhile, Mike's walking beside me the whole time, but God, it hurt. We finally get inside of the birth center and I bear crawled on all fours onto the bed and started laboring some more. I was only on the bed for a couple of minutes as Renee was finishing filling up the tub, and then she asked, do you want to get in the tub? And I cut her off and I said, yes, I want to get in the water. So they helped me into the tub. The water was really relaxing for a few minutes. And then I already felt like I had to push. From what I remember, I only pushed 4 times. That first push feels like you're pushing out a massive dump. And even as I'm saying that, my body is clenching up. But then that second one is when he already started crowning. I laid back and I remember saying, it fucking burns! Renee and Mike were both laughing at me, and I remember Renee saying, you're funny. Even in the middle of giving birth, apparently I have a sense of humor, but that's how I get through life. With that third push, I started to feel like things were tearing, so I actually stopped mid-push, and Renee encouraged me to just let my body relax and stretch on its own. Here comes push number 4, only 20 minutes after we had even arrived to the birth center, and this was the final push. I pushed with all my might and out he came, borne into the water and scooped up and put onto my chest. Immediately, I felt a sense of relief and just amazement at what my body just did. And I could hear Mike behind me too saying, that was so amazing. And it was incredible. We just laid there and marveled at what just happened and how fast it just happened. Now you might be listening to this thinking, man, only 3 hours, that lucky girl. But let me remind you, giving birth hurts like a motherfucker. This may all sound happy and rainbows, but let me tell you, there was a lot happening down there. There was a lot of pain, there was a lot of blood, I'm sure there was some shit, but you know what? That's just how I give birth. If you want to hear more about the aftercare and all that, let me know in the comments and I'll make another video about that part. From the tub, I got over to the bed and Renee left Mike, myself, and the baby alone for about 45 minutes. Then she came back and it was time to birth the placenta. Did you know that after you birth the baby, you still have to birth the placenta? You get to give birth twice. Isn't that great? Renee helped guide the placenta out and I got immediate relief for about a second. And then she started deep massaging onto my uterus to make sure that I wasn't hemorrhaging. Now this is a good thing, but damn, that shit hurt. Renee placed the placenta right next to me and the umbilical cord was still attached to the baby. So we took a couple of pictures. I absolutely love these pictures. After the pictures, we let the placenta beat until the cord was white and cold, which meant all the blood had made its way into the baby, and then Mike got to cut the cord. Renee then weighed the baby and checked him, made sure he had all his fingers, all his toes, and all his other body parts, while I relaxed on the bed next to them.
7 times 1.
When she was done, she sent us on our way because when you give birth in a birth center, you get to go home afterwards. Around 3 a.m., we walked into the front door, much to my mom's surprise, who hadn't even fallen asleep yet, and I said, "Here you go, I made you a grandbaby." And we went to sleep, and that was that. Keep an eye out for my next video where I talk about hospital birth versus birth center birth. Have you delivered in a birth center before? Let me know in the comments below. I want to hear your stories. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and hit that little bell if you want to be notified when my next video goes up.